This is an example of factoring and using the zero product property to solve this equation to find the roots. So anytime it asks you to find the roots, what you're really doing is you're solving. You're finding what the x is when y is 0, or finding the x-intercepts. All of those three things mean the exact same thing. Okay, so we are going to factor this equation first. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do the area model and the diamond to help us factor. So we start by taking the x squared, putting it in the bottom left-hand corner of the area model, and then we take the constant, the 8, and put it in the top right. When I multiply those two, I get 8x squared, and that goes in the top of my diamond. The bottom of my diamond is going to be the x term, so negative 6x. So now I'm multiplying two numbers. They multiply to a positive, but they add to a negative. That means my two numbers are both going to be negative. So now I'm going to look at my factors of 8, and I'm going to see which of them would add together to give me 6. 1 and 8 does not add to 6. If I do 8 divided by 2, I would get 2 and 4. That does add together to 6. So that's what my two sides are going to be, negative 2x and negative 4x. So that when I add them together, I get negative 6. So just a reminder, it doesn't matter which spot you put the negative 2x and the negative 4x in. And then you're going to take these two sides and you're going to put them into your other spots in your area model. And remember, they should be on the diagonal together. Okay, now that we have the inside of our area model, now we are going to work the outside of our area model. So I start with my x squared. The only options for that would be x times x. And then I'm going to look, if I have x squared and it multiplies to negative 2x, that must be a negative 2. And if I have x here and it multiplies to negative 4x, that must be a negative 4. So doing this brings us to our factored form of the equation. 0 equals parentheses x minus 2 times parentheses x minus 4. Okay, now I can take that and I can actually do the solving part. So now here is where I'm going to solve this equation to find the roots or the x-intercepts. So I take my equation, 0 equals x minus 2 times x minus 4. And the zero product property tells us that if I have two things multiplying and they equal 0, one of those two things must be 0. So the two things that I'm multiplying are these two parentheses. So this parenthesis might equal 0, so I'm going to say x minus 2 equals 0. Or this parenthesis might be the one that equals 0. So I'm going to say x minus 4 equals 0. Now I'm going to solve these. So to solve this equation, I'm going to get rid of the minus 2 by adding 2. That will zero this out and leave me with x on the left, and 0 plus 2 is 2. So there's one of my answers, one of my roots. And then here I'm going to get rid of this minus 4 by adding 4 to both sides. That's going to zero that out and leave me with x on the left. And if I add 4 to the left, I have to add 4 to the right. 0 plus 4 is 4. So those are my two roots or my two x-intercepts. Remember, before you do the factoring, you have to make sure that it is equal to 0. So if you come across one that's not equal to 0, start by getting rid of whatever it's equal to, moving it over to the other side, and then you can do this process.